Okay, hello, welcome to introduction commentary number 47. Okay, so let's have a look at the question. What do we have here? So, some people say that protecting the environment is a government's responsibility. Okay, others believe that every individual should take responsibility for it. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Okay, so what we'll do first, we'll take a look at the 2 steps to write a good introduction, and then we'll take a look at a sample of mine, then we'll take a look at yours and see what there is to see. So, first things first, we've got to paraphrase. Sentence 1, you simply have to restate the topic. Now, I mentioned this in video 46 a couple of days ago. Don't know, was it yesterday or the day before? Because I saw some people posting in the group for the last question. I can't remember what it was exactly, but anyway. And people were putting some general kind of, it is a controversial topic, it is a hot debating issue, it's recently been debated, etc. And it didn't say that in the topic. If it doesn't say it, don't include it, right? Add nothing, omit nothing. I keep on saying this for the introduction. You don't need it. You simply restate the topic and answer the questions in brief. And then develop your main ideas in your paragraphs. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we can do. So, some people say, now, I keep seeing people something like, according to many individuals, a number of individuals, a certain number of individuals, why not simply say, according to some? Not many individuals of a certain number. And how many is a certain number? Is it 5, 67, 100,000 billion? How many? Just say, according to some. Okay? Some people say, according to some. If it doesn't say, some people say, if it says, if it's just a statement without mentioning who actually says it, you can say, it has been said, it has been argued. Something such as that. Okay? So there's no need to do this, a certain number of individuals, etc. Protecting the environment. Now, as I've said before, in terms of synonym, right, if you can't think of a synonym, change the form of the word. That's often more effective because I keep seeing the same mistakes time and time again. People use what they imagine to be a synonym and it's not. So if you can't think of a directly interchangeable word or phrase, change the word form. So here's a good example. Protecting, verb, protection, noun, environment, noun, environmental, adjective. And that works perfectly well. That is excellent. Then there's no change in meaning. Okay? And change the word order. The government's responsibility becomes the responsibility of the government. Change the word order. I've spoken about this in several videos. We have at least one video on the channel talking about the 4 ways. It's at least one, actually, I think maybe 2. There's a PowerPoint. Also, the 4 methods that you can use to paraphrase. Think of synonym, change the word form, change the word order, make it passive, active, etc. So that's 2 good examples there. Changing word form, changing word order. And synonym, the government or state, others believe, others would argue, individual, every person, every citizen should take responsibility. So if you're responsible, should be responsible instead of take responsibility, has a duty of care, etc. So there's quite a few ways that you can go about that. Now, what about answering the question? Well, let's go back to the question again. So, we've got to talk about both views and give our opinion. So, some say the government should do it, others say that individuals should do it. So, view 1, the responsibility of the government, view 2, every person. Now, for this, essay, I would probably go and say, well, actually, both need to work together to solve this issue. I'd probably say something about the transboundary nature of environmental damage, such as pollution of the air. That doesn't simply stop at your country's border. So you need transboundary cooperation because of a transboundary, country crossing, border crossing nature. So the government can do something about that. And then the individual can do something such as, recycling, taking showers instead of baths, or cycling to work instead of driving, all those kind of things. So I would mention both. I say, okay, so I talk about why some people think the government. Second view, why some people think every person, and I say, well, however, in my view, both need to work together. So for this essay, probably 5 paragraphs. You could do it in 4, but 5 would be fine. I would say, though, only if you are confident in your use of English would I make it 5. Because it might be a little bit long and it might be a little bit tricky in terms of cohesion and coherence. But I would probably do, because of the nature of this particular question, and because I'm not coming down on one side. If I were coming down on one side, my view would be in the paragraph which side I took. So, if I thought the government was responsible, my opinion would be in that paragraph, in paragraph 2. But because I'm saying it's both, I would probably have to make a 5th paragraph. Well, it would be paragraph number 4. So I'd have introduction, view 1, why the government should do it, view 2, why it's down to the individual, paragraph 4, however, I think both need to work together because blah, 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 XYZ reason, example, and then conclusion. So that's how I would approach it. It might be easier for you, if you're not as confident, to simply choose a side. Okay, now let's have a look. This is my introduction. According to some, environmental protection is the responsibility of the government. However, others would argue that every person has a duty of protection or a duty of care in this regard. In my view, both the state and every citizen need to work together to solve this issue. Okay, so that's how I would go about that. So let's take a look at yours now. Some individuals, are of this belief, the belief that conserving the surroundings, right, so you can see people are trying to, this particular author is trying to use a synonym. Environment is surroundings, but only in one sense, as in my current surroundings are my office walls, my environment, the area immediately around me, the surroundings. But that doesn't work in this sense because we're talking about the environment as a worldwide general term, meaning the natural world. So that it doesn't work. Okay, so just be careful with your synonyms. Is meant to be observed. Well, observed means simply watched. How do we spell observe? We don't need that R, do we? We need that. That's it, is it? How do you spell that? Observed. Oh, I don't know. Observed by the government. I can't remember. Right. Okay. Oh, that's it. Right. So anyway, what was I going to say? Okay, so observed means simply watched over, watching. If I'm watching you, I'm observing you. So that doesn't work. What's it say? It's talking about protection, not simply observing by the government. Okay. However, some others, some other people, however, others are convinced that every single person, again, individuals, needs to take care, I suppose, of that. I personally tend to state, why would you state it? It's asking what you think. That we as society members should take responsibility alongside the authorities. Now the authorities, that's a good way. That's pretty good for a synonym. But authorities does not necessarily imply the government. It can be local authorities. So that's not too bad, but you need to be careful there. So this is not too bad. It needs a bit of work. I can see that whoever's written this has tried to paraphrase, but sometimes it hasn't really worked. Okay. So again, as I say, if you're not 100% sure, change the word form, change the order. Then then there's no possibility of you losing marks because you've used an incorrect word. Mostly people in the face of a problem, responsibility with. Okay. Mostly people in the face of a problem of responsibility of protecting the environment are divided into two groups. Those who believe it is the duty of government and those who think the burden of responsibility is on the individual or individuals. Each view has its own reasons, which are, in what follows I discuss both and conclude that the responsibility is supposed to be on both. So we know you're going to discuss both because the topic tells you to do so you don't have to in this essay I'm going to do exactly what I've been told. Well, we know that, so that's a waste of time. Conclude that the responsibility is supposed to be on both. Is supposed to be by whom? Okay, now first it says this is one sentence. This is all one sentence. I mean, it's we have a colon there, but still that's all one sentence. That's a little bit long and it's a bit overcomplicated. Mostly people in the face of a problem, responsibility. Oh dear, that could be simpler. Keep it clear. Keep it simple. That would work. Each view has its own reasons. Well, yeah. So that's like 6 words that tell me nothing. So that's kind of a waste of words. Okay, let's see what we've got. There are different views about conserving now you see, protecting, conserving. That's good. While some people believe protecting the environment is the government's duty, I strongly contend, well, you could simply say, I strongly contend that both people and officials should shoulder responsibility. So it doesn't really mention both views. You need to, we don't really need that, because we know there's different views. All you need to do is say, right, some people believe protecting the environment is a government's duty, whereas others believe it is down to the individual. I strongly contend that both people and officials should show the responsibility, and possibly if you gave some indication of where the essay was going, then that would be good. So, just a few things there. Let's see what we have for this next. I extremely agree. Well, we wouldn't use that as an adverb, and that doesn't collocate anyway. You could say I strongly agree, but not I extremely. That doesn't work in terms of collocation. I strongly agree that both every single person, or every individual, and governments are responsible for, not about, nature and environment or environmental conservation. Now, so far so good. However, the next part kind of lets it down because it doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell the reader anything. There are some reasons that I will discuss in this essay. Thanks for not telling me what you're going to talk about. So, first part, not too bad. A couple of mistakes there, but then we had this empty sentence. In this essay, there's some reasons I'm going to tell you. Why not simply tell us now? Okay. Some individuals believe, or according to some, The burden of protecting the environment is a government's duty, while other people believe that every one of us are responsible for taking care, or to take care, for taking care of, it's not about, of the environment. I strongly disagree with this opinion and think nothing will change. Well, it's not talking about change, is it? So I'm not sure what you've put that there for. As long as people do not want to be kind, how can you be kind to the environment? Now, you need a definite article. The environment. Now, if it's something like something that is commonly known, the sun, the moon, the stars, the internet, the oceans, the environment, you need a definite article. I strongly disagree. Right, so you strongly disagree with what opinion? Because there's two opinions. You've put two. Some think the government, some think every one of us. I strongly disagree with what opinion. You've just mentioned two. I think nothing will change. Doesn't say anything about change. Do not want to be kind, despite the government. So that's kind of vague. I'm not really sure where that is going. So needs to be clearer, a little bit clearer for the reader. Much debate, well, maybe, but it doesn't say anything about that in this topic. We don't need these kind of opening sentences. There's much debate, there's controversy. Doesn't say that. Abound responsibilities or responsibility towards the environment. Well, no, there's not. Well, some people believe that preserving the definite article, environment, is the government's task. Others mention, but they don't simply mention, do they? They believe. Have I spelled that right? Believe that it is the public's quest. It's not a quest. A quest. It's not like Indiana Jones. We're not going on a quest for the Holy Grail. Public's duty. Okay. I take a view. I take the view because it's a particular view. I take the view of the latter assertion. It's not later, it's latter, one coming afterwards. The latter assertion due to come. Tells me nothing. Not really. I take the view of the latter assertion due to. In my view, it is the public's duty because blah, blah, blah. Isn't that better? According to some, the government should be responsible for preserving the environment. Others, however, think that it is the duty of all people or of everyone. In my view, each of us, including the government, should take an active role to conserve the environment. Now, okay, that's good. In my view, each of us, or all of us, including the government, should take an active role to conserve the environment. Okay, that's good. According to some, the government should be responsible for preservation of the environment. Okay, good. However, some people subscribe to the view that everyone should take responsibility. Oh, right. Should the government could? Is that supposed to be play? Okay, so far so good. First two sentences good. That's clear, simple. I understand exactly what you mean. In my opinion, the government could play. Well, could. I mean, anything is could. It's possible. It doesn't necessarily mean that they should play. Watch your modal verbs. Could play a crucial role, but playing a crucial role, it doesn't say that. It says who's responsible. If we look at these keywords, who is responsible? Is it the state, the government, or is it us as individuals? So play a role is not quite what it's talking about. You need to, be clear there. What are you talking about? Whose responsibility is it? So I'm not quite sure where the rest of the essay would go. We'd have to see it to judge. Environmental issues is. Okay, some issues are a commonplace topic. Well, some people. What does that mean? What does that even mean? Environmental issues are a commonplace topic. Is it? So what? What's that got to do with anything? Right, so get rid of that. Start here. Some people believe the authorities believe that the authorities, make it grammatically complete sentence, should be in charge to protect the environment. It's not about in charge, it's about who's responsible. It's not necessarily the same thing. Others claim people themselves should care or should be caring about their surroundings. Right, not the same thing. The surroundings can simply mean the area in which you live, not necessarily, as I mentioned before, the environment in terms of the natural ecosystem. So it's not necessarily the same, so you have to be careful there. I strongly believe preserving, and as I said, right, definite article, because if it's something like the sun, the moon, the stars, the universe, the environment, you need a definite article. Requires cooperating. Why is it a verb? Requires cooperation between people and government. I will discuss, but well, I'm glad that you are telling us that's what you'll do. Why not simply give us some idea of what those views might be? So we don't need this, and we don't need this. So get rid of those two, and that will be better. In the field of right, you've got to tell us what the theory, and it's not a theory. It's two opposing views. A theory is something else. In the field of environmental protection, both theories, but you haven't told us what they are correct. Don't need two buts, only one but. Environmental protection is not only the responsibility of environmental. It doesn't say environmental activists. It doesn't say activists. It doesn't say that. It says the government. Some say it's the government. Some say it's individual citizens or people. It doesn't say environmental activists. Add nothing. Omit nothing. It doesn't say that. But also the duty of citizenship is every citizen. Well, which means what? I think the government should not care about. Right. I don't want to be overly harsh, but no idea what you're talking about. This is about as clear as mud, and the examiner is not even going to think about it in the way that I'm thinking about it now. He'll simply go, "Hey, what? No idea what you're talking about," and we'll mark it accordingly. This is not clear at all. It needs to be clear and simple. So, restate the topic. Some people think this, some think that. I think blah, 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 because reason one, reason two. That's it. Clear and simple. So, if you can get used to that, you will be fine. So, that's it for 47. So, we'll set a topic for 48, and I'll make a video for that next week. That'll give you a chance to write your introduction, and we will be choosing a winner, and you will be invited to submit your full essay for correction and scoring. Now, I'm waiting for the winner of this week of this particular topic for their full essay to correct and score. When they write it and send it in, I will do so and make a video. It might be next week now, maybe Sunday morning, because I'm not usually available at the weekend. But that's what I will do. So, see you next time for episode 48. Bye for now.